to your political views about the modern political views about the modern scene in America. Of course, you're a friend and supporter of President Nixon.
Yes.
Has in any way what's happened over the recent months altered your point of view about him?
No, it is brought to light what any thinking American must realize, and that is that politics in our country are not, shall we say, the most beautiful part of our American life. And instead of blaming politics for what's going on, the good and the bad politicians don't want to get mixed up in that. They're blaming leadership. Now, this man came in. First, he tried to keep in all the liberals and all the conservatives and tried to make one big family. Then the liberals started double-crossing him. So he turned to the others. Then they got high hat and started running affairs in a very high-handed fashion, which they shouldn't have done. It was wrong. It was a terrible abuse. But it wasn't the leadership of our country. It takes 3 years for a man to get his hands on the reins of government after he gets in there. And in the 4th year, he's in a campaign again. Now, what did this man do for us? He brought home 525,000 kids from Vietnam that 2 very popular presidents couldn't do, and he had to do it the unpopular way by making the decision to mine Haiphong Harbor. Then when they started playing pawns with our prisoners of war, he made the awesome decision of bombing Hanoi, and did, and brought them home. He opened up a détente with China, which the conservatives didn't like. I think he should be at the top of his glory right now, and instead of that, because of some political thing, they are belittling this man.
But the political, it's no more than a political thing, isn't it? It involves criminal acts.
Yes.
But, I mean, you can't have the President of the United States, or indeed the President of any country, to be seen in that kind of company, can you? Because if they do that...
I don't think that anybody has seen him in that kind of company. Well, that's true that the party did do some idiotic things. And they're going to jail for it. But I think it's pretty unfair to try to bring our president into it.
You don't think he should be impeached, then, as a lot of Americans do?
Well, to have an impeachment is probably the only way that they'll ever clear his name, because each day a new little piece of something comes out. They try to twist it around. Only by either a grand jury or by an impeachment can he be cleared up to where people will either believe in him or not believe in him.
You see, the latest poll shows that 8 out of 10 Americans now have lost confidence in Nixon. I mean, that's a very, very different situation than it was, 2 years ago, isn't it? Or later.
Yeah, and if that's true, too, you know, it's...
Well, I mean, it's a poll published in America, the Harris poll. I mean, polls I know are not infallible, but they give a fair indication.
Right. I'm sure that there's a... It's quite a bit that way.
Are you bored of this conversation now?
No, I'm not. I'm not bored, but I do know that they've taken advantage of this man, and that he probably should have just stood up at the very beginning and said, anybody that's done something wrong will go to jail. He didn't do it soon enough. He believed in the fellows he had around him, in spite of the fact that when you have in a year's time, they mushroom up millions of dollars to do a campaign. You know there's going to be some misuse of funds, misuse of power, and it suddenly is all focused on this one man.